welcome to the deep dive. Today we're venturing into a really fascinating text, one that's, well, puzzled and inspired people for ages. The Tao Te Ching.
That's right. And you might know it by other names too, like Tao the King or the Tao and its characteristics.
Or the Chinese names, Osho, Tao Te Ching.
Yeah, exactly. It's traditionally linked to this figure, Lao Zi or Lao Zi, sometimes Li or
But the details about him are pretty hazy, aren't they? Like, when did he even live?
Well, the estimates range quite a bit, maybe somewhere between the 1st and 5th centuries BC. Could have been a scholar, maybe worked for an emperor. Honestly, we don't know much for sure.
Right, and some people even suggest it might not be a single author at all, maybe more of a compilation.
That's definitely a theory. The historical evidence is just, quite thin. But the text itself, that's what's endured.
And the version we're looking at comes through a translation by James Legge. He was quite a figure, wasn't he? A sinologist.
Absolutely. A deep scholar of Chinese culture, language, history, the works. His translation was part of that big Sacred Books of the East series back in 1891.
Wow, 1891. And here we are almost 2 centuries after Legge was born, still digging into this text he helped bring to the West.
It's pretty remarkable, the staying power of these ideas.
Definitely. And if you're listening, you're probably curious too. You want to get a sense of what this ancient wisdom is all about, maybe find some insights for today, but without, getting totally bogged down in heavy academic stuff.
And that's exactly what we're aiming for here. Let's try to unpack some of the core concepts from the Tao Te Ching, see what resonates.
Okay, so where do we start? The source material itself points at a bit of a challenge right away, doesn't it? About defining the Tao itself.
It does, yeah. And it's a crucial point. The text basically says, look, any definition you come up with, that's just your mind creating a box. You're trying to give form to something that's fundamentally formless, without dimensions.
So it's like trying to give smoke.
Kind of. Is the Tao the essence of nature? Is it the path? Is it the one? The text leaves it, well, ambiguous. Maybe it's all of those, maybe none. It resists easy labels.
Okay, I think I get it. It's like trying to describe, I don't know, the taste of water to someone who's never had it. Words fall short.
Exactly. And that leads us straight into our first big idea. The limits of language.
Yep.
Section 1.1 puts it very clearly.
Right. The Tao that can be trodden is not the enduring and unchanging Tao. The name that can be named is not the enduring and unchanging name.
What that's saying is the deepest truth, the real essence of the Tao, it's just beyond what our words can fully capture. Language is a tool, a useful one, but it hits a wall with something this fundamental.
So it suggests we need something more than just words, like direct experience or intuition.
Precisely. It points towards a way of knowing that isn't just intellectual. It's like reading about swimming versus actually getting in the water. The understanding comes from the direct engagement.
Yeah, reading the description of a sunset versus seeing it. Words point, but the experience is the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, now another idea that pops up early is duality. Section 2.1 talks about this.
Ah, yes. All in the world know the beauty of the beautiful, and in doing this, they have the idea of what ugliness is.
So understanding one thing automatically creates its opposite in our minds.
That's the core of it. Beauty implies ugliness. The text lists more pairs: existence and non-existence, difficulty and ease, long and short, high and low. Even harmony in music needs the contrast, before needs behind. They're totally interdependent.
They can't exist without each other. You can't grasp up without a concept of down.
Exactly. They arise together. And recognizing this might shift how we see things. Maybe difficult isn't just bad. Maybe it holds the seed of easy or some new understanding. It's not just black and white.
It moves us away from that rigid, either thinking, it's more like a spectrum, or two sides of one coin.
You got it. One defines the other. It's a more nuanced way of seeing the world around us.
All right. So the Tao is hard to pin down, and our perceptions work in these dualistic pairs. Now, let's get into a really famous concept, wu wei, often translated as non-action.
Section 2.3 says, therefore, the sage manages affairs without doing anything and conveys his instructions without the use of speech.
Which, on the surface, sounds, well, passive, like just sitting back and doing nothing.
That's the common misconception, yeah. But wu wei isn't really about being lazy or checked out. It's more about acting in harmony with the natural flow of things.
Okay, how so?
Think about a skilled sailor using the wind. They're not fighting the wind. They're using its natural power to move the boat. It's about minimizing unnecessary force or intervention. Acting without striving, maybe.
So it's effectiveness through not forcing things, being smart about applying effort.
Exactly. Acting in tune with the way things naturally are. And Section 2.4 builds on this.
Right. All things spring up. They grow. No claim made for ownership. No expectation. The work is accomplished, and there is no resting in it as an achievement.
Yeah, see? Effortless action. Things happen, they grow, the work gets done, but the how is almost invisible. There's no big ego claiming credit or expecting a reward.
Which allows the process to just continue.
Right.
Without being messed up by someone trying to control it all.
Precisely. It's quite a different view of getting things done compared to our usual, push culture. Maybe real accomplishment sometimes means facilitating, not forcing.
This feels connected to another idea, the value of emptiness and stillness. Section 4.1 says the Tao is like the emptiness of a vessel.
It is connected, absolutely. And emptiness here isn't a negative void, it's potential. Think about a cup.
Yeah.
It's the empty space inside that makes it useful, lets it hold something.
Ah, okay. Like the examples in Section 11. The hub of a wheel, the hollow in a pot. The empty part is key.
Yes. The empty center of the wheel allows the spokes and rim to function, lets the wheel actually turn. Emptiness creates the space for possibility, for function.
So it's not about being blank, but about creating space. And stillness ties into this too, right? Section 16.1. Bring vacancy to the utmost. Guard stillness.
Cultivate that deep inner quiet, that emptiness, and guard it. The text then talks about the cycle of things. Everything rises, flourishes, and eventually returns to its source, its root.
And that return is stillness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Returning to the root is stillness. And that stillness is linked to fulfilling your purpose, your appointed end, and understanding the unchanging principle behind everything. It suggests that finding that quiet center lets us connect with something really fundamental.
Okay, switching gears a bit. I found Section 3.1 pretty counterintuitive. Not to value and employ men of superior ability is the way to keep the people from rivalry. That goes against how we usually think about rewarding talent.
It does seem that way at first glance, but the logic is, well, if you don't make a huge deal about superior ability, if you don't constantly put certain people on pedestals...
Then people won't be constantly scrambling and fighting to get there.
Where?
Less envy, less competition.
That's the idea behind it. You reduce the incentive for that kind of disruptive rivalry by not prizing those distinctions so highly. It's a different path to social harmony, one not built on constant comparison.
Interesting. It's like managing group dynamics by being careful about what gets the spotlight.
Yeah.
And then Section 3.2 talks about the sage aiming to empty minds, fill bellies, weaken wills, strengthen bones.
Right. Aiming for simplicity, Section 3.3 says, a lack of desire to maintain order.
So the focus shifts away from like intellectual complexity or ambition.
Towards fundamental well-being and contentment. Yeah. Keep people focused on basic needs, reduce the desires that might spark conflict, and you cultivate a kind of natural balance.
Okay. Now, another really strong image is the Tao being like water, Section 8.1. The highest excellence is like that of water. What's key about water here?
Several things. Water benefits everything without trying to, and it naturally flows to the lowest places, the spots others avoid, without any struggle.
It doesn't fight to be on top.
Exactly. That humility, that lack of contention is what makes its way like the Tao. Section 8.2 lists other excellences reflecting this. Stillness of mind, goodness in associating with others, order in government, competence in affairs, timeliness in action, all mirroring water's yielding, adaptable nature.
It's amazing, something so essential, so powerful, but it works by yielding, by taking the low ground, which contrasts sharply with the warning in Section 9.1 about fullness and sharp points.
Yes. It is better to leave a vessel unfilled than to attempt to carry it when it is full. And if you keep sharpening a point,
the point cannot long preserve its sharpness. So trying too hard to maintain fullness or sharpness actually leads to loss.
That's the warning. Clinging too tightly to possessions, to knowledge, even to achievements creates imbalance. Trying constantly to maintain that peak state, holding on greedily, paradoxically causes things to break or slip away.
And Section 9.2 links this to withdrawing after success. When the work is done and one's name is becoming distinguished, to withdraw into obscurity is the way of heaven.
It's about recognizing cycles, avoiding arrogance. Don't cling to the spotlight or past glories. That's seen as out of sync with the natural way of things. Humility again.
This leads into another one of those paradoxical ideas. In Section 22.1, the partial becomes complete. The crooked, straight, the empty, full, the worn out, new. That really messes with your head a bit.
It does, but that's often where the deepest wisdom in the Tao lies, in these apparent contradictions. The idea is that acknowledging your limits, your partialness or emptiness, is actually the path to wholeness and renewal.
So by accepting imperfection, you actually become more complete.
In a sense, yes, letting go of the need to appear perfect allows space for genuine growth, and Section 22.2 connects this to the sage.
Because he is thus free from striving. No one in the world is able to strive with him. By not competing, they become unmatchable.
Exactly. They don't engage in that constant battle for status, so they occupy a space others can't really challenge in the same way. Their strength is in their lack of aggressive striving.
The text also paints the Tao as this all-encompassing source. Section 34.1, all-pervading is the great Tao. It may be found on the left hand and on the right.
It's presented as the fundamental reality underlying everything. Section 34.2 stresses that everything depends on it, needs it to exist and grow, but the Tao doesn't claim ownership. It doesn't act like a lord or ruler.
Like an invisible current, supporting everything without controlling it. And 34.3 brings it back to the sage again.
Yes. Hence, the sage is able to accomplish his great achievements. It is through his not making himself great that he can accomplish them.
So the sage mirrors the Tao, achieves great things by not trying to be great, by keeping the ego out of it.
Their success flows naturally from that alignment rather than from forceful ambition.
And then there's this theme of returning to simplicity. Section 37.1, the Tao in its regular course does nothing for the sake of doing it, and so there is nothing which it does not do. That's another one that makes you stop and think.
It's a beautiful paradox, isn't it? It illustrates that power of non-intervention. By not acting with a specific, self-serving goal, the Tao lets everything unfold naturally, according to its own inherent nature.
And if rulers followed this,
Section 37.3 suggests things would just transform naturally. Guided by this nameless simplicity, things would find their own right way without interference. It's about creating the conditions for organic flourishing.
like stepping back from micromanaging and trusting the process. Now, near the end of the parts we looked at, Section 38 talks about values declining when the Tao was lost.
Right, it lays out this progression. When the Tao was lost, its attributes appeared. When its attributes were lost, benevolence appeared. When benevolence was lost, righteousness appeared. And when righteousness was lost, the proprieties appeared.
It sounds like moving further and further away from something genuine.
That's how it's presented, a decline in authenticity. First, you lose the Tao itself, then you start just focusing on its outward qualities, then just benevolence, then codified righteousness, and finally just rules, social customs, proprieties.
And Section 38.6 calls propriety a weakened form of genuine loyalty and good faith and the start of disorder.
Yeah, so the more you need external rules and rituals to dictate behavior.
The further you are from that true inner alignment.
That's the implication. Propriety, focusing on the external show, suggests the inner virtue has faded, and that's where instability begins. Real goodness comes from within, not just following rules.
Okay, one last powerful image to wrap up the main discussion. Acting without force and the strength of softness. Section 43.1.
The softest thing in the world dashes against and overcomes the hardest. That water image again?
That which has no substantial existence enters where there is no crevice.
It's incredibly evocative. Water eroding rock, something without fixed form finding its way anywhere. And Section 43.2 finishes by saying how rare it is for people to truly grasp this.
The advantage of non-action, the teaching without words.
It really challenges our basic assumptions about power and how to get things done.
It definitely makes you reconsider what real strength looks like.
It does indeed. It's an invitation to look deeper.
So stepping back from this deep dive into the Tao Te Ching, what feels like the core essence, the main takeaways that might stick with us?
Well, first, I think, is that idea that the deepest reality, the Tao, is maybe just beyond our words, beyond easy definition. That's pretty fundamental.
Right. And the interconnectedness of opposites, beauty, ugliness, hard, soft, how they define each other.
Exactly. Then there's wu wei, not passivity, but that skillful, harmonious action going with the grain, not against it.
The value of emptiness, too. Not as nothing, but as potential. And stillness as a way to connect to that deeper reality.
And the wisdom of humility, not striving for superiority, not clinging too tightly to success or possessions.
And finally, that surprising power found in yielding, in softness, like water.
Absolutely. It's a rich tapestry of interconnected ideas.
It really gives you a lot to chew on. And I guess it leaves you with a question, doesn't it? How might thinking about some of these principles like non-action or simplicity or yielding, How might that subtly shift the way you approach things in your own life? The complexities, the challenges you might be facing.
And that's really the enduring gift of the Tao Te Ching, I think. It's not a set of rules. It's more like a source you can keep returning to for reflection. You might find different things resonating at different times.
Yeah, each reading can reveal something new. So whether you feel inspired to go back to the text itself, maybe explore James Legg's translation, or find others.
We hope this discussion has given you some interesting starting points for your own thinking, your own exploration.
Definitely. Well, thanks for joining us today on the Deep Drive.